today's story, man, quite the interesting one. I think you all will enjoy hearing about it. Definitely a crazy one. Pretty serious stuff going on in this one for sure. Hope you enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do. And yeah, dude, let's just jump into it. So, to start the story off, I kind of have to tell a story before the story. So you're kind of getting two stories in one. One's a lot less crazy than the other, but you need this for the backstory. So back in 8th grade, all right, middle school, I had this one friend in specific. And we'll just call this friend Jeff, okay? Now, I met Jeff in 8th grade. He's one of those friends that you never expected to be friends with. Like, back when I went to school, I had my core friend group, and I was fine with it. Like, I had my friends. It was more than enough friends. They were all really good, really real people. And I just never thought I'd make any more friends. I don't know why. But then one day, I met Jeff. And he was always, like, playing sports and stuff and super into, like, basketball. And I don't know why. I would see him around the halls, and I'd just be like, yeah, we probably wouldn't get along. He seems to be really into sports, and I don't really like sports that much. And that probably means all of our other interests won't align. Which is a stupid way to think, because just because someone likes sports doesn't mean your other interests won't align. And yeah, one day I was in school, like, at my locker, and I was talking to this friend of mine who also knew Jeff. And Jeff came over and introduced himself to me, and we started talking, and he was super cool. And before I knew it, Jeff became one of my best friends at school. I'd hang out with him at lunch every day, we'd hang out at study hall every day, we'd hang out at breakfast every day, and before I knew it, Jeff invited me over one night. He was like, yo, you want to come crash at my house this weekend? I'm having a couple friends over, you're welcome to join. I was like, all right, bet, because why not, you know? And I was stoked, because, you know, it was cool to be able to go hang out at Jeff's house with some other friends. It was going to be fun. I was excited. Now, fast forward to the day of hanging out at Jeff's house. It was a Saturday. I went there. I got there, met his mom, met his dad. Really nothing out of the ordinary there. And then about 2 hours later, into everyone hanging out, me, Jeff, our other friends, we're at his house, right? And Jeff's dad walks into the living room. About like 2 or so hours of us hanging out, we're just playing PlayStation in the living room. And his dad walks in. He's like, Jeff, didn't I tell you after dinner, take the garbage out, clean the kitchen, do the dishes? And Jeff's like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. And he's like, didn't I tell you? Take the garbage out, clean the kitchen, do the dishes. And Jeff's like, yeah, Dad, I'm sorry, I'll do it right now. And he gets up, and Jeff's dad walks him into the room, right? The kitchen. And I hear him start to scream at Jeff. And I don't mean like yell, scream at him like a fucking drill sergeant, dude. And I remember me and all my friends looked over at each other like, what the fuck? Like, guys, I wish I could, like, imitate it, because it wasn't just like, oh, his parents were yelling at him, you know, they're strict. No, like, screaming at him like a fucking drill sergeant. I felt so bad for Jeff. I understand as a father, it's probably annoying to have your kids not listen and not do their chores, but, like, fear in Jeff's voice, man, it was just not a good situation, and I felt really bad for him. And yeah, from that day forward, every time we'd hang out with Jeff, usually Jeff would come to our houses, because his dad was kind of a dick. And Jeff told us, I remember after that first day we, like, met his dad. So yeah, my dad's like kind of a dickhead. He's really strict and, like, you know, it's a lot to deal with. So from that point forward, we just have Jeff at our houses. That way Jeff didn't get screamed at for not cleaning the dishes. So yeah, that day forward, we'd invite Jeff to our houses. So now that you know the backstory of Jeff's dad and how we came to see that his dad was a little bit on the angry side, this next story, the one that really is the story today, will make a lot more sense. So, this story time all starts off as a regular day in 8th grade. Later on in 8th grade, this was towards the end of the year, specifically the last month of 8th grade. Literally, school was about to be out, summer was about to be in, life was about to be more than good, right? I was excited for summer. Now, the last month of school, it's not very, like, you know, tough. You know, usually the last month of school is a lot more laid back, a lot more chill. I mean, there are some finals and stuff, which isn't very chill. But, you know, as for, like, the class activities and, like, what you're doing during class, there's not a lot going on usually. At least at my school, that's how it was. And, you know, this was like any other normal day back then. I woke up about 7 a.m., got, you know, showered, got ready. I was very tired. I woke up just absolutely fucking exhausted. I wanted to sleep so bad because I only slept like 3 hours. But yeah, I got ready, you know, woke up, did my thing, and afterwards jumped on the bus to school. Now, upon arriving to school, I walk in. I'm at my locker, just doing my thing, right? And while I'm getting my stuff out of my locker, putting stuff in, doing whatever, up comes Jeff. Jeff comes walking up to my locker. He walks up to me, and he's like, what's up, man? I was like, what's good, dude? He's like, not much, just chilling, tired. I'm like, yeah, man, me too. And we get to talking about whatever we normally talk about. I don't know, like, probably just a bunch of random shit. Don't even really remember. Well, on this day, me and Jeff both had first period together. And on this day, our first period class was ELA, or English Language Arts or whatever. So after me and Jeff talked to my locker for like 10 to 15 minutes and the first bell rang, we went to ELA together. And upon getting to first period, we sit down in the back of the room. We didn't have assigned seats or anything, so we could just sit wherever we wanted. So me and Jeff sat together in the back of the room, and we're sitting there just chilling, right? Now, the teacher walks in. We actually had a substitute on this day. It was a man who I'd never seen before, never had this sub before. He walks in, and he proceeds to say that he's going to be our teacher for a while. He was like, yeah, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be your teacher. I'm going to be your substitute. Your current teacher's out for an emergency. She'll be back soon. Now, I didn't think much of it. Just thought, okay, got a substitute for 2 weeks. Hopefully he's chill. So after the substitute introduced himself and, talked for a little bit, he starts the lesson, right? He starts teaching. And about 5 minutes into the lesson, I look over to my right, and Jeff is on his phone texting. And he looks a little bit like weird. I don't know how to explain it. He looked like he was nervous about something. I didn't question it. I didn't ask him what was wrong because, it could have just been my brain playing tricks on me. Sometimes I think people look a certain way, and then I'm like, oh, are you good? And they're like, yeah, I'm fine. So I didn't say anything. And about 5 minutes later, he's still texting. And I was like, huh, that's kind of weird. And he puts his phone down, finally. He looks over at me, and he's like, yo, my brother just got into a car accident. And I was like, what? Is he okay? He's like, he's pretty hurt, but he's good. He's gonna be okay. And I was like, holy shit, dude, I'm so sorry. He's like, yeah, man, I think I'm gonna try and go to the main office and call out for the day. I'm gonna try and get my mom to pick me up. And I was like, yeah, man, good idea. And he stands up, walks to the front of the room, goes up to the substitute, and he asks if he can go to the main office. And the substitute's like, why? And Jeff's like, it's a family emergency. I need to go call my mom. And the substitute's like, after class, you can go up there. And Jeff's like, no, you don't understand. It's really, it's an emergency. This isn't me lying. I need to go up there. And the substitute's like, I don't care. Sit down. You can go there after class. And I can't lie. The substitute, he was being a dick. He was being a big, fat chode. He definitely should not have been being a dick. Because if someone says family emergency, let them go to the main office. You don't gain anything from holding them there until class is over, other than just being a power-stricken dickhead. There's no reason to do that. So Jeff, he's like, nah, you know what? I'm going to the main office. If you want to write me up, so be it. See ya. And he opens the door, and he walks out of class. And honestly, in my opinion, that's pretty valid. If you have a family emergency, and you're trying to get out of school, and you go talk to your mom, I don't blame Jeff for leaving and going to the main office. And that's what he did. He went to the main office, and after he walked out, the substitute teacher looked pretty pissed off, can't lie. And the substitute ended up calling the main office and saying that Jeff was coming up there, and then he walked out of class, and to write him up over it and give him detention because he didn't have permission to leave class. And they did. They gave him detention. I know this because Jeff texted me about an hour later, and he's like, yeah, man, I left school, but I got detention tomorrow for leaving class without permission. I was like, what the fuck? So school let him call his mom. They let him leave early on the family emergency, but they gave him detention for not listening to teachers' orders and going up there. It was a whole fucking clusterfuck of weird. But yeah, Jeff got detention, and he then proceeded to tell me that he told his dad about him getting detention, and his dad was pissed. And his dad was coming into class tomorrow to talk to the substitute. And I was like, holy shit. And I knew this wasn't a good idea, because his dad had anger issues, bro. I knew that his dad was not coming into school just to talk to the substitute. I knew it was gonna be way worse. Someone was gonna get screamed at. There was gonna be yelling. I just knew it. And yeah, fast forward to the next day. I get to school. Same thing as the day before. I'm with Jeff. We're hanging out at my locker. And on this day, we had English Language Arts on the 4th period, I believe, of the day. So it was gonna be later on in the day, kind of towards lunch. He's like, yeah, man, my dad's coming in right before lunch. He's going to talk to that ELA teacher during class. Going to be interesting. And I was like, bro, your dad's not going to talk to him. Your dad's going to scream at him. And Jeff's like, honestly, man, you might be right. I told him not to come in today. I told him just stay home and, let me get detention. But he insisted. He was very upset that I got detention over what happened. So yeah, fast forward to 4th period, right before lunch. It was time for English, time for ELA. We get to class, we walk in, that substitute's at his desk doing his thing, and I'm sitting in the back with Jeff, and Jeff looks over at me a minute before class starts, and he's like, yep, my dad just got here, he's on his way. And his dad walked into the school, didn't get a visitor pass, walked right downstairs to where the English Language Arts room is, because Jeff told him where it was, walks in the door, walks right up to the teacher's desk, and he goes, hey, can I have a word with you in the hallway? And this teacher's like, who are you? Are you supposed to be here? Where's your visitor pass? And Jeff's dad's like, I don't have one. And he goes, well, you need a visitor's pass, so why don't you go up to the main office, get a visitor's pass, then I'll talk to you, okay? And Jeff's dad's like, nah, I'm here right now. I'm talking to you now, so please step out in the hallway with me. And he goes, no, get a visitor's pass or else I'm calling security. And Jeff's dad goes, you don't want to do that. Let's just talk. And the teacher goes, that's it. And he goes to pick up the phone and call security. And Jeff's dad grabs the phone from this teacher's hand and slams it on the desk and goes, talk to me. And this teacher goes, what's wrong with you, buddy? Okay, who are you? And Jeff's dad's like, I'm Jeff's father. Right there, he points at Jeff. And the teacher goes, okay, how can I help you? And Jeff's dad's like, well, you gave my son detention. You called the main office, you had them write him up and give him a detention because he had to leave early yesterday. He had a family member in a car accident and he had to leave early, and you weren't letting him leave to go to the main office and call his mother to pick him up. And instead of just letting him leave, you called the main office and wrote him up. And the teacher's like, well, yeah, he left class early. I told him he couldn't leave and he left without permission, therefore he gets written up, therefore he gets detention. That's only fair. And Jeff's dad's like, no, you fucking prevented him from going upstairs. You told him no, and to wait till class was over when there was clearly an emergency going on. My son even told you there was an emergency going on, and you didn't let him leave class early. You kept him here, you wouldn't let him leave, so then he left on his own, and then you wrote him up. It's an emergency. Reverse this. Get right up, like, come on. And this teacher's like, no, I can't undo anything. What's done is done. Your son maybe should have got permission before going to the main office, which he didn't have. And Jeff's dad, like, quietly just goes, undo the detention, please. The teacher goes, no, now get out of my classroom. And Jeff's dad proceeds to start smashing shit off his desk. He grabs a pencil thing, like a holder, this cup thing, slams it on the ground, shatters it. He grabs the computer off the top, the monitor, throws it. And I'm like, oh, this is it. This is exactly what I expected. And his dad starts screaming, you don't fucking disrespect my son or my family. And this teacher is freaking out. He's like, stop, sir, please stop. That's not even my stuff. And he was right. He was destroying stuff that wasn't even his. It was the teacher's. Not the substitute, but the teacher that, you know, the substitute was filling in for. But this substitute, I won't lie, he was shitting himself. He looked very scared because Jeff's dad, like I said, was a very angry man, so he was pretty freaked out. And after Jeff's dad broke pretty much everything on top of the desk, he grabs the teacher by the shirt and like slams him up against the wall, and he's like, are you gonna undo the detention? Are you gonna undo it? Is my son going to detention today or not? And the substitute's like, yes, I'll undo it, I'm sorry. And Jeff's dad proceeds to let go of him and then just walks out the door. And as he's walking out the door, he turns around and goes, bye Jeff, see you later. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? What is happening right now? And Jeff puts his head down out of like embarrassment. And I was like, dude. And Jeff's like, bro, this is why I didn't want him to come. Like, I knew this was gonna happen. And the teacher immediately jumps on the phone again, and like his voice is shaking. He's like, a man just attacked me in my classroom. He slammed me up against the wall. He broke belongings of the teacher. Like, get the police immediately. He's an unauthorized visitor. He's going upstairs right now. And I was like, oh shit. And I look over at Jeff, and Jeff's looking at me, and he's looking all scared. I'm like, oh no, like what's about to happen? And like 15 minutes later, Jeff gets a text that his dad got arrested. I guess his mom was like in the car waiting or something, and she saw him getting walked out in handcuffs. And then the police came down to our classroom and had to have the substitute come out and talk to them. So another substitute had to come in, some like, you know, some random employee had to come in and watch us while the other substitute went in the hallway and talked to the police. And Jeff's like freaking out. I felt so bad for him. Like the last 2 days, his brother got into a car accident. Like his dad just got arrested. I felt bad for him. And was his dad getting arrested justified? Absolutely. I mean, the dude literally came in here and like broke a bunch of shit and then slammed the teacher against the wall. Even though I think that teacher was a total dickhead, you can't do that. It gets worse. About 5 minutes later, the school goes on lockdown. I don't know why, because they already arrested his dad, but I guess like they didn't want people to see it happening or something. I don't know what, like why they went on lockdown, because they already walked him out of the building, I heard. But yeah, the school went on lockdown for like 10 minutes. Anyway, shortly after lockdown was over, the substitute came back, you know, the main substitute, the one that got, you know, pinned against the wall and, you know, screamed at. He came back, he apologized for the whole, you know, situation, that hopefully nothing like that will ever happen again during his time teaching there, and it didn't. The rest of that 2 weeks or whatever he was there was fine. But yeah, the rest of that day was very awkward. very, very strange. I felt super bad for Jeff. The whole day he was waiting on text from his mom to see what was going on. And it was a scary time for him. I felt bad. Now the next day rolled around, and Jeff told me that his dad got bailed out, so that was good. But he was still facing some pretty serious charges, so, you know, that wasn't going to be good. And down the line, he had to face those charges. He got a bunch of charges. I can't remember what they were specifically. I tried to look before this video, but I can't find them. But I remember he had to pay a bunch of legal fees. I know that, between the lawyers and the fines and whatever. I think he also ended up getting probation, so that's pretty serious. Because he literally assaulted someone. I mean, even though he didn't punch him or, you know, like, you know, really beat him up, he slammed him up against the wall. He broke a bunch of someone else's belongings. He entered the school without a visitor's pass, which you're not supposed to do. Schools aren't just allowed to let anyone in just to walk around. You need to, like, get authorized first from the main office. Like, he broke a lot of fucking rules. So, yeah, he got a lot of trouble. His dad got, you know, in criminal trouble. And Jeff just had a hell of a week. I felt so bad for him, man. I am happy to report, though, that as far as I know, his dad's doing a lot better now. Hasn't been any legal trouble since then. Jeff himself's doing really good. I'm still friends with Jeff to this day. He's doing well. Jeff's brother's fine. He made a full recovery after the car accident. So, like, in the end, I think Jeff and, you know, everyone was okay. That substitute was also okay. Everyone in the end was good. That's all that matters. No one got seriously hurt. No one got, you know, life in prison. But it still was a pretty shitty situation and a very wild situation to witness. And that leads me to the moral of the story. Moral of the story is, do not do what Jeff's dad did. Do not do any of that, okay? Just don't. But yeah, guys, that's it for the story time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Gunfight. Hostile long gun working. Round's almost up. Don't let him fucking take you. Only one enemy standing. Find him. End him. Yeah, good shit, Black Ops. Now get out there and finish this.